Hello, this news story comes from thehackernews.com. And this is this article actually has two separate things which are very closely related. And when you hear the story, you'll kind of guess why. So Grandcrab Ransomware and Ursnif virus are spreading via Microsoft Word macros. Now, anybody who knows anything about macros in the IT field, in the IT, especially with IT security, knows that macros can be used to spread malware or have malicious code within it or do malicious things. Even though what macros were actually designed to do were to kind of put a set of instructions in there to make it easier to do certain things. Like I'm not really a big macro user guy, so that's not really a thing. I know people who program them and stuff and use them for all sorts of do some really neat things with their documents, but that's something that you always have to look out for is malware with macros. But this is kind of interesting because they're both of you doing the Microsoft Word macros. Um, and so says here that security researchers discovered two different malware campaigns, one of which was distribute Ursnif a data stealing Trojan and Grandcrab Ransomware in the wild, where the second only is only in the wild, whereas the second is only infecting victims with Ursnif malware. Both malware came to be working from two separate cyber criminal groups, with some similarities between them. Both attacks start from phishing emails contained into an attached Microsoft Word document embedded with malicious macros and uses PowerShell to deliver fileless malware. So those who know what PowerShell is pretty much command line on steroids. It's very powerful. It can do a lot of really cool things. That's something I kind of want to learn more about. This say the Ursnif is a data stealing malware typically steals sensitive information from compromised computers. The ability to harvest banking credentials, browsing activities, collect keystrokes, system and process, and deploy additional backdoors. So what this thing could do is actually steal your passcode into your account and buy your money. So kind of be careful with this. And discover the Grandcrab is a widespread ransomware threat like every other ransomware in the market. Encrypts files on infected systems, insists victims pay a ransom in digital currency to unlock them. Its developers ask payments primarily in Dash, which is more complex to track because not as many people use it also. So that's something to be also remember. Like it says, I don't know if certain like right now I'm using Bitdefender, so I don't know if there is protection from this malware or not. And there's another story that they had on there, and I'm going to put a link to it also. And this is one of the no dust stories of the year, but this is one also from the hackernews.com. It says millions of PCs are found running outdated versions of, outdated versions of popular software. How do you know? I mean, I make sure my updates happen all the time. I do updates all the time. A lot of my stuff has automatic updates. So I even make sure that my phone updates all the time. I say I update it. So what it says here is in 2019, millions of computers either still have at least one outdated application installed or run outdated operating systems, making themselves vulnerable to online threats and known security vulnerabilities exploits. Yeah, and this is why I'm going to tie this into the other article, is because I do my best to keep my stuff updated. I mean, is all my stuff always 100% updated like no, but I do keep the software I have updated. I make sure the updates are turned on and make sure the updates go through. And so in a lot of the software I have, there are it will run and say, yeah, update. If you're, well, I'm going to turn off updates, and you're an idiot. Okay, now there are specific reasons why you wouldn't update, and this is more on the corporate level, where the updated software won't work for what you're doing. And if you're going to do that, you should put it in a VM, so if something happens, it only affects the VM. And I will tell you, because this, according to the report, Adobe's Shockwave, which lists the top software most users leave outdated on their PCs, followed by VLC Media Player, Skype, Java Runtime Environment, 7-Zip File Manager, and Foxit Reader. I don't know if I use Foxit or I've used it before. Yeah, Microsoft, most of my stuff, and actually I do have VLC, may have to check that. But usually I'm pretty good about keeping my stuff updated because it will tell you, hey, you need to update. So that's just some stuff to get out there. And now one of the things it says here is probably the most overlooked vectors in cyber is out-of-date programs, which most of the time as a result users laziness and company administrators ignoring security updates in the business environment as they can't afford the downtime. They can push that shit at night, please. This one right here is someone who's I've worked for like major companies and they send updates all the friggin' time. And they'll actually do stuff where they'll force you to update. However, it's not always out. No, this is true that almost 50% of all Windows, 79% of all Windows are running on an outdated version of operating system. And that may have to do with the update, may interfere with the certain types of software they're using. And it's really weird, like when you're dealing with with certain software that does certain specific actions or certain specific things on the computer that you want it to do, that the newer software doesn't work and you have to use the older outdated software. And that is normally because you're doing a specific function from a specific source and it has to be done usually when you're doing the corporate environments, you're going to see some stuff that just like, how come this doesn't work? And this is trust me, I've dealt with it. And you have to go and do some weird gymnastics, computer gymnastics to get this crap to work. You have to get like older versions of Adobe or not Adobe, but older versions of like Java and stuff to get stuff to work. It's got to be the specific certain version. And that version is the only one it will work in. And so trust me, and that's a different thing because the people whose software are using won't update their shit. And it's really bad when your company has to go into government websites to get information. It's ridiculous. So trust me, there's a lot of stuff in here. That doesn't take into account the reason why certain things are the way they are. And a lot of it has to do that corporations are using certain software that has to do a certain specific function. And that function won't work unless you're doing something. It's ridiculous. I've dealt with it before and it's just like maddening. So that's it about that. Remember to keep your stuff updated.